and the director of the Houston Comedy Film Festival. We've got our summer 2022 event coming up really fast in August. And I am here with Scott E. Morse, who wrote an excellent screenplay that is nominated for the Best Romantic Comedy Screenplay Award. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
I usually am pretty bad about giving away the storyline. So can you tell us in your own words a synopsis?
Yeah, it's a coming of age story, but instead of going to college, it's someone who's approaching 40 and has to start over. Their wife has cheated on them with their business partner, so they've lost their business and their wife in one fell swoop. He has to move back home with his parents into a town he didn't think he'd have to ever kind of really go back. Feels like he's tucking tail a bit. So it's a redemption story. It's a story about being able to start over no matter where you are in your life, 14, 40, 84, or wherever it may be. With the right attitude, right support system, you can make it work.
Anything can happen in the woods. Sounds kind of like a horror film. I'm glad you went comedy with it.
So funny that you say that. I've had people read it and they'll be like, I thought this was going to be a terrifying film, and instead it is a romantic comedy. And I'm like, yes, it is. So you're not. Everyone else thinks that. It has to do with, it surrounds Stephen Sondheim play Into the Woods. There's a song called Anything Can Happen in the Woods, and the trying to put on a high school production of this play is a central part to the plot. So I kind of paid a little bit of homage to what we're working with on it. So, but yes, you are the 100th person who's asked me if it's a horror film. So,
and that's all right, and it's kind of good when you can throw somebody for a loop.
Yeah.
But you did it to yourself, because that's the first thing people think of. But that's cool. So let's get into that motivation a little bit more. So I see the play in there, but just kind of rewinding a little bit. Why tell this story?
So this story I had in my head late 2019, 2020 pandemic hits. Everybody's quarantined, and I really refined it. And it's a personal story. I was at the time going through a divorce, rough myself. I don't think it's easy for anybody to go through. And so this is kind of how I was feeling at the time. 38 now, so getting into the business a little later than most folks as far as screenwriting and film goes. And so it's kind of like proving to myself that I can do it by writing of a paralleled character who's kind of going through the same thing, and seeing his successes. And it's a thank you letter to the people that helped me along the way, parents, friends, my current wife now. It really is it's a thank you to them. And it's proof to me that I can do it. So that's kind of where the parallel lies. I wanted to really kind of get that out there and let people know that, again, I said it before, but you can start over at 40. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you have the drive and the support system and the right attitude about it, I mean, there's really nothing you can accomplish at any age. So
this is your first script?
Yeah, this is the first screenplay I've ever written. I have a couple of stuff I've done for backup features and independent comics, Hoy Comics out of Syracuse. Those are the only things I've ever actually sold. Well, for now, hopefully, right? And then, I just wanted to do it. I've always wanted to write comics, but I've always been obsessed, is a great word, with film. I loved going to the movies, still do. Loved watching them. Loved buying VHSs. Loved taping them off HBO and Stars when I was a kid. Having the 6-hour length, tapes with 7 movies on them or whatever. So it's just something I've always liked to write. I wrote a bad kids cartoon on a word processor when I was 7, and I've never really stopped. But I think the transition, and ironically, what helped me was having to see my life through a new set of eyes, is what really made me say, you know what, I'm just going to do it, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I enjoy writing. So if no one ever buys anything, it's still not a waste of time for me, because it's cathartic no matter what I'm writing. And this especially was like my own interpersonal therapy. So I'll do it forever. No matter how it goes financially for me. So
that's refreshing to hear. And you can't always measure things in financial success. I mean,
no.
If you do, you're always going to be chasing it, and no number will ever be big enough.
Absolutely.
I know I run into a lot of people who actually are just don't know the first step to take. The very first thing, when you go from a person that has a good idea to someone who says, I'm going to put something down on paper that someone else can actually read.
Yep.
You talked about obviously writing something when you were a kid, and you have some writing background, but writing for film, why did you make that first step, and how did you make that first step? Like, what was it that really just kind of that first thing you did to start writing?
Um, at first, it was probably a mix of ignorance and hubris to think that I could just write a film without any formal education of training. So I think you kind of have to have those two things right off the bat. And then when you have an idea, I have I before I put pen to paper, which everyone says just write, which is fine, but for me that doesn't work. I have to know where I'm starting and where I'm ending. I don't necessarily need the middle, but it's difficult for me to fully embrace a story if I don't know where I'm going and where I'm starting and where I'm going, and a little bit obviously know how to get there. But you fill in the blanks as you go, because I think for me the story unfolds as I'm writing to me. I know there's beats I want to hit, but I think anyone who has an idea, the next question they should ask themselves is, how does it end? And then
Mhm.
from there, you can start writing, right? If you know where you're going, you just gotta build the map as you're going. And that's what my recommendation would be. If someone's, if you said, I have this fantastic story, it's 5 superheroes that are going to save the world. Great. How did they become superheroes, and how do they save the world? And the rest you'll figure out along the way.
Nice. That's good advice. Yeah, someone else put it pretty succinctly. They said, if you don't put anything on paper, you don't have anything you can fix.
Oh my God, that's 100%. Because I think my screenplay, Anything Can Happen in the Woods, that you've read, has been fixed 107 times in a 2-year period. So yeah, it's never really finished. Even after it's filmed, I have a feeling I'm going to say, I wish I could have written that differently. So I don't think it's ever complete. It might just get filmed. That's what I would say.
Well, for a very first screenplay, this is very well refined, by the way.
Thank
It
you.
looks good. I didn't actually expect you to tell me that. It looks very well done. So
I appreciate that. It's been a
so
pleasure to
what
write.
good stuff, man. So what's next?
I would say, I mean, next I have a sci-fi farce action, which these three things shouldn't necessarily go together, but I think they do. I'm putting it together, rewrites, and kind of going through it, and I want to kind of get that out into the world next, hoping that maybe for a fall or winter festival, we can throw that screenplay out there. It's different. It's still comedy, so I think if when you read it, because I'll definitely be sending it to you guys, the comedic tone is similar. But the story is just completely different. And I'm excited to kind of get that out there and show a little bit of range with writing too. Romantic comedies are one formula, kind of farcical sci-fi is like a whole different animal.
Sure, sure. Good stuff, man. So
Yeah.
sounds like you're busy. Sounds like you're doing this a lot.
Yes.
And here you are, getting nominated for awards, and obviously having a good festival run. So
Yeah,
is
it's
there
been nice.
what's your are you writing so that you can sell screenplays, or are you writing so that you can one day actually produce one with your own team?
Both. Anything Can Happen in the Woods is, like I said, it's a fairly personal story for me, how it came to be. I'd like to make that myself. I don't really want to sell it for someone else to cut it up and make it a different movie and give me a credit. Breaking into the business, if I don't have a choice, I don't have a choice. But by the same token, the one I'm working on now, I would absolutely sell. You need a credit to get a credit, right? That's the whole thing. Nobody wants to really read or buy your stuff unless you've already sold a bunch. So that first one is really important. It's not about the money like we talked earlier, but making it a career. Sometimes you have to make those, sacrifices between art and financials to make it a career, right? At the end of the day, money does matter. We have bills to pay. Studios have bills to pay, and we need to be able to accommodate that. So it's both. I want to make my own stuff, but more than happy to sell it to be able to make my stuff in the future.
Well, I think you're off to a great start. And it'll be great to watch your career and see how it unfolds. And if you keep writing like this, I'm sure you'll get an opportunity. So kudos to
Thank
from
you.
the judges, and good job on this screenplay for sure. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we get out of here?
Just thank you guys, for taking the time, for inviting me to interview, for selecting the screenplay. I guess that's the first thanks.
Sure.
But your guys' feedback and your candor has been awesome for someone who's a first-time, screenwriter. And I can't imagine if I had written 100, it's still just as good. And yeah, you guys have been super helpful every step of the way. So I'm glad you like this, because you'll probably be seeing everything I write from here on out. So I definitely, I'm happy to be a part of this experience. It feels like you have a festival family. So if you do, I'm happy to be a part of it.
Thanks a lot. We definitely do. And I appreciate the kind words. All of our festivals, our judges are a little different. They all select different things, but I will tell you that, Houston Comedy is our oldest festival. It's the one that gets the most submissions. It's the most difficult one to get into. And so to break into this with a romantic comedy is really an accomplishment on your part.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I can't wait till August. Can't wait to find out what happens.
All right, my man. Well, take it easy, and hopefully I'll catch up with you at a future event.
Thanks so much. It's good to talk to you.
All right. Good to talk to you.